Today, we're talking about the 102nd anniversary of the Republic of Turkey. But this isn't just a history lesson. This is a story about how a nation, in its absolute darkest hour of political chaos, found an opportunity to build something totally new, something that would last. So, let's dive right in. I want you to just imagine this for a second. You've just fought and won this brutal war for your nation's independence. The old empire that ruled for centuries, it's gone. But now you have this huge fundamental problem. Nobody actually knows what kind of country you are. There's no president, no prime minister, no defined system of government at all. So, what do you do?
And that's exactly the situation Turkey was in back in 1923. The fighting was over, sure, but a massive, dangerous political vacuum had just opened up. The Ottoman Sultanate was history, so the nation's leaders had to basically build a new state from the ground up. And honestly, every single path forward was filled with uncertainty.
This whole period of uncertainty, it basically plunged the brand new state into a kind of political limbo. All the old ways of doing things were gone, but the new ones, they hadn't even been invented yet. Okay, so what's really fascinating here is the sheer contrast. The Ottoman Empire, for all its issues, had a very clear structure, right? You had an absolute monarch, the Sultan, at the very top. But after 1922, when the Sultanate was abolished, all the power shifted to the Grand National Assembly in the new capital, Ankara. The huge problem with that? The system required the assembly to elect every single minister one by one, which, as you can imagine, led to constant gridlock and really weak, unstable governments. There was no head of state, no one to provide clear direction. The nation was just adrift. And this weakness in the system, it wasn't just some abstract theory. In October of 1923, it led to a total, full-blown political meltdown. And just look at how fast this all fell apart. On October 25th, the cabinet was completely fed up. They felt like the system made it impossible for them to actually govern. So just 2 days later, they all resigned at the same time. The idea was that maybe a new, more stable government could be formed, but it completely backfired. The different political groups just could not agree on new ministers. Total deadlock. The country was, quite literally, without a government. So, yeah, the nation is at a complete standstill. The very system that was supposed to represent the will of the people had instead paralyzed the entire country. And this wasn't just some political disagreement. This was an existential threat to the new state. I mean, how do you possibly move forward from that? Well, the answer didn't come from a loud debate in Parliament. It came during a quiet dinner at the Çankaya Mansion, which was the home of the war hero and leader, Mustafa Kemal. This is the brilliant part. While pretty much everyone else saw chaos, Mustafa Kemal, who would later be known as Ataturk, saw a golden opportunity. He knew you can't just put a Band-Aid on a broken system. Sometimes you need a real crisis to force a huge, fundamental change. So he got his closest friends together for dinner that night, not to complain about the problem, but to finally solve it. After talking through the mess with his guests, he didn't offer some small compromise or a temporary fix. He just made this simple, incredibly powerful declaration. And this wasn't a suggestion, it was a plan. That very night, he and his colleague Ismet Pasha stayed up late, drafting the constitutional amendment that was about to change everything. His plan was just so clear and elegant. Step 1, use the crisis. No one could possibly argue the current system was working. Step 2, make it a legal constitutional change, not a power grab. Step 3, give the state a clear identity, a name, a republic. And finally, step 4, create the office of president, a head of state who could appoint a government and bring stability. It was the perfect solution to the chaos. And the very next day, October 29th, that plan was put into motion, setting the stage for one of the most important moments in all of Turkish history. First thing, the proposal was presented to Ataturk's own political group. He explained how this one move would solve the crisis for good, and they immediately approved it. Right after that, the official session of the Grand National Assembly kicked off. And this right here, this is the heart of it all. The first article of the Constitution was rewritten. It starts out by saying that power belongs to the people, but then it adds that one game-changing final sentence. The form of government of the state of Turkey is a republic. With just those few words, centuries of monarchy were legally wiped away and replaced with a brand new ideal. You can just imagine the scene. The debate was full of these passionate speeches, and when the vote was finally called, the amendment passed. the entire assembly just erupted with deputies shouting, "Yaşasın Cumhuriyet! Long live the Republic!" The moment of decision had come, and the choice was unanimous. Right after that vote, the assembly moved to elect the new nation's very first president. All 158 members who were there cast their vote, and every single one was for Gazi Mustafa Kemal. And just like that, the crisis was over. The Republic was born, and it had its first leader. So, why does this one day back in 1923 still matter so much to us today? Well, because it wasn't the end of the story. It was the starting pistol for a massive national transformation. See, the really important thing to get is that declaring the Republic wasn't the final goal. It was the foundation. It was the stable ground that was absolutely necessary for the huge wave of social, legal, and economic reforms that were about to come. That was the real project, building a modern state. And what followed was just this decade of incredible change. Suddenly, in politics, women gained the right to vote and be elected. The entire legal system was modernized. Socially, people adopted surnames for the very first time. The old Arabic script was replaced with a new Latin-based alphabet to boost literacy. And economically, old trade rules that favored foreign powers were torn up, paving the way for Turkey to control its own destiny. And you have to remember, none of that would have been possible without the stable foundation that was built on October 29, 1923. And for 102 years, that foundation has held strong. Through all the challenges, all the incredible changes, the Republic has remained the core identity of the Turkish state. So as we look back, the story of the Republic's birth is just this powerful reminder that the moments of deepest crisis can also be moments of amazing clarity and opportunity. The real question for today is, how will that founding spirit, that spirit of resilience and vision, how will it guide Turkey through whatever comes next?